In this lesson, I'll show you how to create a chart of watercolor mixtures that you can use for your own watercolor paintings. Hello there everyone, Matt here with thevirtualinstructor.com, and in this video I'm going to share with you how you can create your own chart of watercolor mixtures. You can use this chart as reference, but you can also use this process as a way of discovering wonderful new colors through unexpected combinations of colors. And we'll cover that and more as we go through the entire process. So let's go ahead and dive right in. The first step is to create a grid featuring all of the colors that you have in your set. Make sure that you choose a sheet of paper that's large enough to accommodate all of the colors that you have in your particular set. In mine, I have 18 colors, including Chinese white. Since I'm not going to use Chinese white, I've only included the 17 other colors in my set. These colors are listed in a staggered grid across the top and along the side. Once your grid is completed, the next step is to prepare your palette. I have prepared my palette so that the colors are in the same order as I have them listed across the top and down the sides of my grid. You can see I've left ample space between each of the colors for mixing. Now we're ready to start filling in our colors in their purest form. We're going to create less intense versions across the top, meaning that there's more water in the mixture. This will produce a less intense version of the color. In my case, my first color is Windsor Yellow, so I'll mix up a light intensity version of this color using quite a bit of water. And I'll fill in the first rectangle. Across a diagonal directly in the middle of our grid, we'll create medium intensity versions of our pure colors. This means we'll use a little bit less water, resulting in a more heavily pigmented version. We'll continue with our Windsor Yellow, again, just the pure color with a slightly more intense version right underneath our first rectangle. Now, along the sides, we'll create intense versions of our basic colors. This means that we're going to use as little water as possible, creating a bold version of the color. And with my case, again, it's Windsor Yellow. In this rectangle, I'll fill in a very intense version of this color. What we're left with is a light intensity version of Windsor Yellow, a medium intensity version of Windsor Yellow, and an intense version of Windsor Yellow. Now we'll simply repeat this process for each of our basic colors in our set, creating a light intensity version of the color, a medium intensity of the color going at a diagonal, and a very intense version of the color going down the side. At this point in the process, we haven't done any true mixing. We've only mixed the colors with water, creating the various intensities. We'll begin mixing these colors in the next step of the process. In this step of the process, you can, however, practice creating the different intensities, ensuring that you have variety between your light intensity versions and your dark intensity versions. Now we're ready to start creating true mixtures of our colors. We'll start by creating a light intensity version of color A and color B using our grid. This is a 1-to-1 mixture, meaning that we're using equal parts of each color. In my case, the first two colors I'll mix are Windsor Yellow and New Gamboge. As we work across the grid creating various mixtures, this will result in less intense versions of the mixtures existing in the upper right-hand corner of our watercolor chart. Now let's go back to our first mixture. In my case, it's a combination of Windsor Yellow and New Gamboge. Here I'm filling in the less intense version of this mixture. Now, with our colors already mixed, we'll start filling in a 1-to-1 mixture of color A and B again, but this time we'll use a stronger intensity, meaning we're using less water. Again, for me, this will be a combination of Windsor Yellow and New Gamboge. And as we work across our chart, we'll see that our more intense mixtures will exist in the lower left-hand portion of our watercolor chart. Now it's back to our chart using a combination of Windsor Yellow and New Gamboge with a stronger intensity. Here you can see where this rectangle falls on my chart. Now it's just a matter of going through all of our mixtures, gradually filling in our chart.
And trust me, this process does take time, so take your time and enjoy the process. Slowly fill in each one of the mixtures, and while you do so, practice creating different intensities of each one of the mixtures. And as you work, take note of the wonderful colors that are made by maybe some unexpected combinations. I certainly found some colors to be quite exciting, and I was surprised at what color combinations created those colors. This exercise not only reveals wonderful color combinations, but it also helps you have a better understanding of how different colors and pigments are going to behave on your particular surface. It'll also help you in controlling your brushwork, since you do have to fill in these squares with some precision. And once you're complete, you have a wonderful color chart that you can use for reference to find colors and mixtures of colors that you may use in your watercolor paintings. And as I mentioned before, you have both a less intense version of a color and a more intense version of the color. Here we can see a less intense version of Winsor Violet and Winsor Orange combined with a more intense version of Winsor Orange and Winsor Violet. And here's another example. We have a less intense version of Permanent Sap Green and Scarlet Lake, and a more intense version of Scarlet Lake and Permanent Sap Green. Now, I created my watercolor chart on hot press watercolor paper. This paper is smooth and shows more of the brushwork, as you can see in my watercolor chart. As I filled in my chart, I noticed certain characteristics about certain pigments. For example, raw umber really shows the texture. All of the mixtures that included raw umber were very textury. I also noticed that all of the mixtures with cerulean blue featured small little specks of the cerulean blue. This could be due to the characteristics of the pigments used in the specific paints, and it's important for you to know how your paint and specific pigments are going to behave on your surface.
Now, hopefully you can see the importance of creating a chart of watercolors, especially when you have a new set, just like I do.
Now, if you want to take your drawing and painting skills to the next level, then you've got to check out the membership program over at thevirtualinstructor.com. There we have a variety of courses on drawing and painting, covering a variety of subject matter and media. We also do weekly live lessons. These lessons are broadcast live to members, but also stored in our vault. You can go back and watch any of the live lesson series we've ever done. There are weekly critiques as part of the Members Minute, and there's also a year-long curriculum for visual arts teachers, which includes absolutely everything you need to teach.
Now, all of that is included with our membership program. If you want to learn how you can become a member today, just look for the link in the description below this video. If you want to just check out 3 of our course videos and ebooks, I'll leave a link for that as well. That will also put you on our mailing list so I can send you lots of free art lessons. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I wish you all the very best in your artistic success.